Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good.
Well, challenging times we find ourselves in. It's
Yeah,
been,
completely. So I
it's,
wanted to touch base with you because basically you're one of the cleverest guys I know. We're on a similar wavelength, but you obviously work in a totally different sector to me. So I just wanted to
yeah.
get your sort of angle from a systems perspective of what's going on with this COVID situation that companies are finding themselves in, and what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so in if I was to talk in system language, basically, we've got these open and closed systems, and business always think of themselves as a closed system, like they've got some sort of machine with cogs in it. The people are cogs, and they're thinking this mechanical metaphor. And that's what offices are. Offices are a way of creating the illusion of this closed system that all these people are, it's as closed as it can be. And they control the flow of work in, and they control the conversation, and they control the environment, and they manage people. And now all of a sudden, without any preparation, all of these places, all these people are distributed to their homes and are all dialing in. And you can see the response of these micromanagers freaking out and putting things on LinkedIn about, make sure you're close to your phone and you answer within 3 rings, and working from home, rules for working from home, get dressed in a suit every day to put yourself. And actually what's happening is people are going, oh, sod off, sod off. We're not doing that, because now they're suddenly open systems. And businesses are not set up to deal with this open system, even though they've always had this open system in reality. And they go, well, why aren't people engaged? I wonder if business's biggest problem is lack of staff engagement, like it was before this. CEO's biggest problem was lack of staff engagement. You put people in these little huts and you manage them to death, and you create miserable, driven people.
Yeah.
Now you've got all these people sat in their homes. I'm wondering if they're still miserable and not engaged, or whether they're much happier being open and being able to have their own space and not having someone breathing down their neck. Because
It's
businesses haven't
interesting,
had
isn't
time.
it? Because me and you've both got a joint friend, Jeff Elliott, and he said there's a
Yeah,
sort of a general rule of thumb of that people are only actually productive a maximum of 67% of the time over a period of time. Yet,
yeah,
in particular, open offices, sometimes it feels like you've got to make the effort to appear that you're being productive 100% of the time. And I suppose that's all gone when you're outside the office. So I suppose there's effort released from trying to look busy, which can now either not be used doing anything or can be invested in actually doing what needs to be done.
Well, people are on Netflix or whatever in the background. They're watching the TV. They've got the TV on in the background, watching the cricket. Well, not cricket or sport, but they would be. And I wonder if it's just they create their own working environment, right? So they an environment that suits them. So I think there's a huge opportunity for business, first of all, to say, how do we get these people all go in the same direction, the direction that we want as the company? How do we truly measure output so that we don't have to manage the people anymore? We just see what's being produced and then work with the people to make sure that's what we want.
Yeah.
And take the focus off the cogs. Allow people the joy of creativity in their own space, in their own homes. And actually, you can't stop them. Now you can't stop them. You're suddenly in this world where people will do what the hell they want.
So stop focusing on the cogs and just focus on is the watch telling the time.
Absolutely. A great one. That's a great analogy right there. Yeah. So, it's the watch telling the time.
So me and you, we both like Cybernetics, and the first video you did, which is still my favourite, was on Cybernetics. And at Cybernetics, it sounds so complicated, doesn't it? It almost scares people off. But it's about defining what outcome you want to see as a result of your action, and then having a feedback mechanism to tell you how effective you were at achieving your desired outcome. And I suppose business, from my perspective, is generally across the board quite poor at defining that. What is it? We're very good at talking about the vision. We're very good at talking about the activities that we do, but the actual defining what's the purposeful outcome that we want to see and how are we going to know, we're very difficult. But I suppose if you have that, working from home becomes much less of an issue, doesn't it? Because it's, as long as you're achieving what you want, does it matter how it was achieved?
Well, I wonder how much of work is actually dealing with the fact there isn't any work to do. So I wonder how much is people managing things like numbers appearing in spreadsheets, or there's no workflow in a lot of places. A lot of places is you know, the work turns up somehow, and then somebody does it, and the work can be various things. It can be conversations, it can be interactions, it can be meetings, it can be, you know, if you're a knowledge worker, I wonder what the work actually is. And I think businesses really struggle with what all these people do. So when you break it down into departments and you go, I need a project management department to manage my projects. Well, we know that a lot of these projects are not doing anything of value, that they're going to fail. 75% of projects fail. The big programs definitely fail. That's kind of a given. So you've got all this resource swimming around doing all this stuff, and now suddenly they're not. Suddenly they're all sat in their own homes. They're not all sat in meetings, banging out code or whatever they do in the projects, whatever their role is. And I wonder if business at the end of this are going to take a stock and go, hang on a minute, the people who actually do the work, who actually bring the money in, well, they've been carrying on doing that. But all the other layers that sit on top of those people that take the money out of the business, the management, the regional managers, the area managers, the project managers, the program managers, the, you know, various people with manager in their job title, what are they doing now? Well, they sat at home doing what? They've got no meetings to attend, or maybe they're just sat doing Zoom calls all day long with each other, talking about the fact that they can't see anybody. I don't know. I wonder what these people are actually doing.
And it's that ability to, I think, effective self-organization is completely reliant on that ability to provide, this is what needs to happen. This is what we need to see as an outcome. This is how we will know that we've seen it. And therefore, as a result of that clarity, we are much more comfortable with being a little bit blind to the sort of the how, the what's going on. I mean, obviously, certain types of businesses, it has to be done particular ways, but you can still look at that in the exact same way. You can say, well, what is our mechanism for knowing that happened? What is our mechanism for knowing that it happened like that? And I suppose that is when we can move towards a more autonomous business, when we get much better at defining what is it we want to see.
I think business have to realize that people do what they want. If they want to work for you, if they want to deliver your products and services, they'll do it. And they'll do it in their own time, and they'll do it, you know, Sundays if you ask them to, as long as they want to. What you can't do is you can't manage people to do stuff they don't want, especially when they're working from home. This is why managers get very suspicious about people working from home, because this guy doesn't do anything, he's lazy or whatever. And I've seen it several times, several posts on LinkedIn where people are talking about, you know, lazy people who won't be working, they'll be doing other stuff. It's like, well, you recruit these people. So you recruit lazy people, do you? Or do you make them lazy? Did you break them, or were they broken when you got them? And
what is it they're not doing?
And what is it they're not doing? Are they not at the meetings? Are they not writing? What is it that you think that they should be doing? You know, that they must what?
The worst management I ever saw was someone would raise their head, but this is not like a dynamic environment, raise their head above the thing, see that everyone was typing and give an approving nod and back down again. Just like that is where we've come to in some things, is that as long as activity is occurring, I'm happy. Whether that is achieving anything is irrelevant. I just want to see activity. And people start to form habits around that. And it's almost like you could leave a team like that in a room and say, you have nothing to do. And you come back in 2 weeks and they will be so busy doing stuff, they would have no capacity to take anything else on, because you've created an environment where people feel that they need to look and present busy.
Yeah, totally. I think there's an awful lot of make work, and an awful lot of people right now have gone home and they've realized actually their day is full of nothing. Their day is full of stuff that doesn't matter. They don't have to do that report anymore because nobody cares. Nobody's keeping track of it. Nobody read the report anyway. What? And the other thing that struck me is, as all these people have disappeared off to their homes, they've taken the company data with them, I'm guessing. So instead of being in the office and logging onto the office system, they're now logging on from home over what I assume are fairly insecure connections. Does that mean then that GDPR becomes a bigger issue? If you did a GDPR survey on any company right now, would they be in trouble? Because, you know, people's names appear in people's personal data now because they've had to take the data home with them because there's no system in place, right? Because it's never been intended that people do this.
Because
now they're there doing it.
Systems.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Systems with people that do what they want.
Yeah.
But it's always. I suppose if a sort of pitch we've potentially got to here, just wrapping us up, we've tried to create closed systems with people that do what they want, therefore it's naturally open. And by creating that confinement, that drives a behaviour. It tends to be a behaviour to look and be busy, and then the management behaviour tends to be to ensure that busyness is occurring.
Yeah.
And that this is almost an opportunity to step back and go, well, what are we trying to achieve, and what would tell us that that's been achieved, and we can be much more relaxed about the activity itself.
Yeah, and I suspect there's going to be a lot of vacant office space after this.
Yeah, you and me too.
You
Adam,
know,
it's been brilliant chatting. It's been great chatting with you, mate. Always a pleasure. And
you,
we're going to do some more of these, guys. So if you enjoyed it, me and Adam are going to link in some more. So hopefully some straight talking systems thinking. But cheers, mate.
And you, mate.